This is AP Radio News.
Your favorite progressive voices: Bill Press, Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Norman Goldman, Amy Goodman, and Alan Combs, all on one station. This is 820 AM WCPT Willow Springs, 92.5 WCPT FM DeKalb, 92.7 FM WCPY Arlington Heights, 99.9 FM WCPQ Park Forest, and streaming worldwide at chicagosprogressivetalk.com. This is Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. All benefits are subject to policy definitions, limitations, and exclusions. For details, visit qualitylifeinsurance.com.
Quality of life means health and peace of mind. Quality of life insurance means protecting your family if you die, but it can also provide income if you suffer a serious illness or injury and need financial help to maintain your lifestyle.
To find out more, contact the Polaris Insurance Agency. Visit polarisadvice.com or call 312-951-2606 to learn about how we can help you make a plan for your future. That's 312-951-2606.
The Howard University online EMBA is tailor-made for busy professionals seeking a competitive edge in business and government organizations. Their 18-month program also connects you through their elite networking and professional development events, including an optional trip to China. For more information, go to howardemba.com.
Are you looking for the best residential and commercial laundry service in the Chicagoland area? Then you want PleaseDoMyLaundry.com. That's PleaseDoMyLaundry.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WCPT, NewsWeb Radio Company, or its affiliates.
Hi, I'm Donna Miller, and I'm president of Democratic Women of the South Suburbs, and I listen to the Family Meeting.
Hi, I'm Aiton Taylor of A.L. Taylor and Associates, and I listen to the Family Meeting.
Yep, it's family meeting time in the week. The familiest of family weeks, should I say. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm your host, Eric Grant, my idiom master, my co-host, the quotation master, Robert Orr. He's still in Michigan enjoying his Thanksgiving, probably taking a nap. Hell, I just woke up from my nap from Thanksgiving. And of course, in the space shuttle cockpit, controlling everything and fixing her hair right now. You're not on TV, Lady B. Yeah, fixing her hair, that's Lady B in the space shuttle cockpit. If you want to contact us, email us at info@tfmradioshow.com. We're all over social media. You can find us there on Facebook at The Family Meeting Radio, on Twitter at TFM Radio Show, on Google Plus, and in fact, we're streaming live right now on Google Plus Hangouts, and you can find us on our YouTube channel. We're fancy. We got a YouTube channel. Catch our archive broadcasts there. And of course, you can call in anytime you want, 773-763-9278. The Family Meeting is sponsored by the Polaris Insurance Agency. There's life insurance you don't have to die to use. Visit polarisadvice.com. Today's conversation is not complete without you. We'd love to hear from you. The number is 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. Let's get at it, y'all, shall we? Y'all ready?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Quite the week, shall we say?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me introduce you to our guest today. First to my right is my, I guess, cousin. Can I call you cousin?
Call me Play Cousin.
Play Cousin.
My daddy told me about Play Cousins.
What's your daddy say about Play Cousin?
I can't say it on this radio.
That's you nasty. You nasty, Dave.
I did not intend it that way, for the record.
You nasty, Dave. Don't do that, man. That's Alicia Stewart. She's a graduate from Mizzou. Wow, kind of ground zero, huh?
A little bit. Something's going on right there.
She majored in broadcast journalism. Mizzou, Columbia. Is that different than
University of Missouri, Columbia?
Is that different than?
It's Mizzou.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I wouldn't know. And she's a recent 2015 Harvard Nieman Fellow.
That's right.
Whatever the hell that means.
It's a Nieman Journalism Fellowship that is an honor to be able to sit and study for a year and get to talk with other amazing journalists in your class and work with great professors around the community on a lesson plan that you kind of figure out yourself on a study plan.
Sounds exciting.
It is.
Okay. Our next guest is my man, your man. By the way, You an alderman because of us. You know that, right?
I do know that.
Right, because we gave you the family meeting bump. Because he came on the show before he was running for office. Of course, he won for the family meeting bump.
You and Brother Munir Muhammad.
Yeah, he did all right, too. Right. That's David Moore, Alderman David Moore from the 17th Ward. He's a Simeon. I wanted to make sure I got your high school.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
Simeon
the best
high school
in the city of Chicago. Absolutely.
It wasn't for a while now. Back then, it was kind of rough. Huh?
No, we've always had good students and good athletes come out of Simeon. We had good leadership there under Ned McCrae, John Everett, and just a great people.
You're a politician, aren't you?
Just a servant. Just a servant.
Okay, right. Put it that way. Dave went to Western Illinois. I got to make sure they know this because when they see alderman, they just think alderman. They don't realize that you're an educated man.
Yes. Mama and Reverend Evans made sure that, and they stressed education all through my life. So, had to get it. And that's so you won't be controlled and be willing to lose in order to gain.
There you go. Western Illinois is where he went to school, majoring in accounting and operations management.
That's correct.
Of what you did for many years.
I did accounting for about 9 years in the private sector, manufacturing accounting, before going over to the Department of Aviation as an accountant, and then going into development management at the Chicago Housing Authority before that.
And David has a master's in urban government from Loyola. Just so we know geography-wise, where David presides, or should I say preside over, where his ward is. It's 63rd to the north on the south side, 83rd to the south, Lafayette on the east, and Central Park on the west. That's your
correct.
ward.
That's it.
Right, so
the general boundaries.
Everybody living there, this is your man right here. Go over there, he got you a job or something.
I didn't say all that. I help, though. I'll try to help and do my very best.
And I bet you he will, because I have read the story about you being out in the street at night trying to break up fights and stuff.
You know what? I said trying to break them up, but just help the residents who are going through a lot. My position is if the resident's up, then I'm up. All of my residents have my cell phone number or should have it. And if they're up, I'm up. And if I'm up, the police is up. And that's even the commander. If he's in bed asleep, I'll call him.
Wake his ass up too, right?
Well, I have some good commanders in the over in the 17th Ward, 6th, 7th, and 8th districts. I cannot. They're very accessible, and we're doing some great work over there. They're just amazing.
We want to hear more about that in a few minutes too. And our last guest today is because if that makes you cousin, that makes him uncle.
Okay,
right?
yes.
Play uncle.
that would be Wayman Stewart, a graduate of Lakeland College, majoring in biology. I didn't know you majored in biology. I know when you went to school initially, you were majoring in music, I think, right?
No, I was a pre-med student before I started.
But he had a scholarship.
He's a grown man. He can speak for himself.
Okay.
All right.
I had a choir scholarship to Arkansas A&M in Pine Bluff.
Okay.
It's now the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
Okay, there you go. So he majored in biology and a minor in chemistry and education from Lakeland College, which is way up in northern Wisconsin.
Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's halfway between Green Bay and Milwaukee on Lake Michigan.
That's right. That's like 4 black people up there, I bet you.
Eric, I don't know why you have me here with all these intellects, man. I didn't know I was going to be.
Listen, man, I'm the dumbest person in the room, man.
All just curious people.
Intellectually curious.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. How was everybody's Thanksgiving, by the way?
I was under the weather, so I was pretty much in bed, stayed in bed.
Oh, man, I should have came over and ate your plate. How about y'all? You had a good Thanksgiving?
Excellent. Very good Thanksgiving.
It was good.
Was everybody in town? Or, I mean, of course, we didn't come in from France.
Kim's still in France, and Tammy had her family in Atlanta.
Okay.
But we had a good show. We had 7, and always enjoy the kind of ritual of what we're thankful for and reflecting on years past, which is nice.
Okay.
It's my favorite holiday.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Better than Christmas?
Definitely. Absolutely.
Better than your birthday?
Definitely. It's about gratitude. It's about other people. It's not about.
I ain't worried about other people. I'm worried about me, man.
How was your Thanksgiving, Eric?
Fantastic, Dave. Thanks for asking, man. I just woke up from my nap, man. I had a good one, man.
What'd you cook, Eric?
I bought food prepared already,
okay,
which is my ritual every year.
Right.
I got a guy, by the way. My guy makes a turkey for me, a fried turkey.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. I just recovered from a pulled muscle from eating that turkey, man. It was awful.
Hard work, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. So let me get my man on the line here, Craig Futterman. Craig, you there, man?
Yes. Hey, Eric.
Hey, this is Craig Futterman. He's at the University of Chicago. You're a professor at the University of Chicago Law School, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. That's Craig Futterman. You guys may have seen him. You were on MSNBC this week, I think, right?
Yeah, we were. I was on a couple times. I'm at NBC talking about this horrific shooting that went on in the video that was just released about it.
Right. Okay. Well, good. We're going to get into it now. I think that's got to be our topic of conversation.
Absolutely.
This young man. But let me tell you, I want to do something a little bit different, which is what I always do on our broadcast. I want to draw a circle around the events that happened that we see on the videotape. When Laquan woke up that morning, of course, like most of us, you don't expect for this to be your last day.
Correct.
And I'm sure that young man didn't wake up thinking that this was going to be his last day on earth. I am very, very concerned about what happened that night, but I'm even more concerned with everything that happened for the 17 years or so prior to that day and the 400 or so days after that day. Right? The shooting, the video, that can speak for itself. The people who are culpable are obvious. It's the people who are culpable that we aren't talking about that trouble me. Dave and I talked about this before we went on the air. I'm starved for somebody to just say, my bad.
Right.
My bad. I mean, this kid, by all the accounts that we've been reading about, he was a ward of the state.
Yes.
When he was killed. That's what's being reported. At age 3, apparently, as a toddler, he was removed from his mother because she was deemed to be an unfit mother. He lived in a foster home, apparently. And again, this is being reported. If anybody has anything contrary to this, please say so. All right. This is what I've been reading about.
Several foster homes.
Several foster homes. He eventually found his way to his grandmother, where he stayed for roughly a decade. We know how that goes. Young man with grandma. Grandma can't keep track of him. Right. He had trouble with the law, in and out of juvenile detention, whatever the case may be. He ended up with his uncle at some point, I hear, and then back in a foster home at some point. My thing is, these people who are the elected officials at every level, city, county, federal, failed this boy. They failed him. And I'm looking for one of them versus getting in front of a camera and pointing at the mayor or the police chief is to say, my bad. Mm-hmm. I presided, or I was a legislator over a system that failed this young man and resulted in his execution. Our system used a police officer to execute this boy. And I'm using this boy loosely because that's our colloquialism in our community.
Right.
That boy. Right. That's a problem for me, that nobody's stepping up and saying my bad. Because there's no way he should have been on the street at that time of night waving a knife around. That was because of everything that occurred in the 17 or so years prior to that day.
Well, Eric, I have a question for you. I'm trying to figure out why they paid his mother and sister $5 million.
The same system gave a woman who they deemed to be an unfit mother $5 million.
And to me, that was before even a lawsuit was filed. That's number one. And then because
it becomes public record, then and a lot of stuff comes out.
And then to make or say that you cannot disclose any of the information or talk about this incident, which is absurd. And I think something that's supposed to be of public. And so I'm definitely going to be fighting to release that mother out of that type of contract, if you will.
Hey, Craig, what's your thoughts on this?
Man,
By the way,
before you go, Craig is my daughter's softball coach too. By the way.
And so another word for that before Craig on is hush money.
Yeah. Well, I guess if we're going to talk also about our kids, I mean, among the things that are tragic is that this young man is the same age as our daughter. Is the very same age as our daughter. And as hard as I and others fought to release this videotape, honestly, when it was released, the last thing on earth I wanted to do was to watch it. I mean, because do you want to see, and much less even when we talk about the family, child executed in the street like a dog, could have been one of our own kids. And I guess I start there. But about the money, I guess I have mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, I say this. This would be the very positive spin, which is when something like this happens, you shouldn't make the family go to court. You shouldn't make the family sue and do all this stuff. This is, as Eric, as you said, my bad doesn't even begin to cut it, but you try to make up in some way, shape possible. You don't drag that stuff to the court. But then on the other hand, and this is the other point, and the Alderman made this well, was that the hush stuff. It's not, we will do not even right by you, but we will try to make up in some small way for what we've done and what we're responsible for. But to say, no, you cannot share this. No, you cannot share any of the reports, which now as we're learning more and more and investigating that there's real cover-up surrounding this, including even keeping the information from the other folks who voted on this. Sure that you never got to see the video before voting on that settlement as well. So that's why I have mixed feelings. I mean, I think it's the right thing. I do think it's the right thing to pay out in these circumstances and pay out without dragging a family through court when wrong is wrong. That wouldn't be the right thing to do. But then paying out and trying to shut them up, we all know what's going on there.
Yeah,
and I agree with his point, and because at the end of the day, the alderman who approved that at the time, it was in April, just before all the new aldermen came in. Of course, they are stewards over the people's money, so taxpayers. So you want them to make sure they exercise and get the least impact to your taxpayers. So when they see a $5 million settlement come through versus something that could have been $35 million, when you look at it, it's your tax dollars that's paying for that.
And many of these same people are marching in the streets now.
Absolutely.
Right. Upset about it all of a sudden.
Absolutely. And they would have been upset if it was probably more.
You should have been upset when you got the notice that we were going to pay out $5 million. That's when you should have been upset.
No, I think in defense of my colleagues.
Oh, good luck. Go ahead and try to defend it.
In April for that, they, especially, I know Jason Irvin, and I won't totally speak for him. A lot of this stuff happens in committee. Remember, before this stuff go to city council, it's brought before committee, usually finance committee. And so the members of the finance committee, not every alderman sits on finance committee. Not every alderman can attend the finance committee meeting. And so those are the places that I believe the questions were asked, and especially Alderman Jason Irvin asked some good questions, but he was lied to. He was lied to. And so when he asked a question, some other alderman, I can't speak for them. I don't know what questions they asked, but I know Alderman Irvin did. And so when you ask those questions, did this officer act according to his duties, all of that? And your legal counsel who's done all these investigations is telling you yes, and there's a family that's accepting a payment, you automatically believe in your mind after you feel you've done your due diligence to do right by the taxpayers.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, I wasn't there, but
right.
I think I got to ask a few more questions.
Well, I think that there were questions that were being asked, and I can speak, from the aspects of journalists who were asking the right questions. But when police were not telling the right narrative, the narrative that came out when you read the story in the Chicago Tribune back in November of 2014 when this happened, was very different than what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
It's very different than what was developed, which is why there are protesters out in the street. And I think that there's multiple costs that you are thinking about. There's the millions of dollars, $5 million in this case, but that's not talking about all of the other shootings and all of the other payouts that happen by the city. No one's talking about that tax money, and that's a very significant cost.
And even don't forget the other amount, the money that you're paying the lawyers that work for the city to keep this video from being shown.
Right, but
I just think
there's the millions, but there's the millions for Laquan McDonald and to his family. But there's also the millions in total for the amount of misconduct that the police department pays. And that's not just in Chicago, that's around the country. There's the payment of a 17-year-old's life being drawn out. And what does that say to his peers and their potential for possibility? That is a cost that we don't think about in the culture as much as what that cost is on joy and potential for young black men. And I think that is a cost that cannot be quantified in millions of dollars.
There's got to be, if they're going to be stewards of our funds, they got to ask more questions. I don't know that it's the questions. I think it's the wrong answers. It just can't get by you like that. You can't get okey doke like that. I'm just saying. Anyway.
Can I jump in too on what Alicia was
Wait a minute,
saying?
Craig. We got to take a break here, man. Let me come back to you in a second, okay?
All right. No problem.
Okay. So we're going to get back to it in a minute. But I just think that somebody need to pay attention. And more importantly, the aspects of the case, okay, those are going to play out. It's what happened to this child before he got to that day that really troubles me.
Yes.
Really troubles me. 773-763-9278. Stay tuned for more of the Family League.
Hi, this is Cherie Bynum. You can reach me at facebook.com. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Imagine a job where someone cares about you, your family, and your coworkers, and will sign a contract to that effect. That is what a union actually does for you. We've all heard the bashing, the insults, and hatred directed toward unions by powerful political elites and wealthy business bosses. For more information about your job interests, call SEIU Local 73 and ask for Tim Ball, 312-787-5868. Again, that number is 312-787-5868.
The name of my business is Mrs. Indecent Exposure. We are an intimate aromatherapy, massage, bath, and body shop. We have the best aromatherapy, bath, and skincare products available. You can find us in Chicago and on the World Wide Web. We're located at 6916 West North Avenue in Chicago, 3 blocks east of Harlem Avenue, 773-417-3223. Mrs. Indecent Exposure, MRSNDEXPO.com.
We have products that can change your life. Really? Sound like a big promise? If you're interested in helping people while you make a better life for your own family, then listen carefully. We have developed life insurance coverage that is so innovative that it's changing the way Americans think about, purchase, and use life insurance. Quality of life insurance is affordable life insurance that can protect your customers if they die, but it can also provide benefits if a policyholder gets sick or injured and survives. We are growing. If you like to help people and want to be part of an innovative company that values service and promotes a positive work-life balance, consider what we have to offer.
To find out more, contact the Polaris Insurance Agency. Visit polarisadvice.com or call 312-951-2606 to learn about how we can help you make a plan for your future. That's 312-951-2606.
The Law Office of Darnell Lyles is ready to help you. Whether it's personal injury, criminal, DUI, and OWI, nursing home, product liability, it doesn't matter. Call 219-9399-LAW. That's 219-939-9529. That's right. When you're driving and get into a wreck. You better call Darnell. Had a few drinks too many? A cop hits you with a DUI or OWI? I think you better call Darnell. Arrested and facing criminal charges, misdemeanor or felony? I think you better call Darnell. Purchase a product that causes you or a loved one harm? I think you better call Darnell. When your loved one is neglected and abused in a nursing home? I think you better call Darnell. That's right. You better call Attorney Darnell Lyles and get represented right. And the first consultation is free. Yes, free. So call right now. 219-939-9LAW. That's 219-939-9529. Attorney Darnell Lyles. Darnell Lyles.
You don't know a soldier where you're father. You know? Yes, man.
This is Harlan Teller, www.economicprogress.org. Welcome back to the Family Meeting.
773-763-9278 is the number. Anybody got any idea who that is?
Bob Marley?
No, good try though. A little more contemporary.
Really?
You can't do it. Don't try to Google it. I'm gonna tell you before you get there. This is Heavy D. Yes.
No way.
This is Heavy D.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a reggae artist too. How many people knew that? He did some stuff with a lot of the reggae artists.
I know that.
Yeah. This is his last album, Vibes. Queen Majesty's the name of the song. Go ahead and get that. Heavy D. 773-763-9278. During the break, I was asking Dave about who's responsible for the DCF system and how Laquan McDonald, that boy, as we're calling him, passed through the system. And here's the thing that troubles me. He ended up as a result of how the system handled him over the years. Right. He ended up in a dark street, shot down in the street with 16 bullets. Now, he's not the only child.
No. You got a case that I will be continuing to push forth on, that I specifically, when the mayor met with us Tuesday, asked him about, and that's Ronald Johnson, who was gunned down on 53rd and King Drive. And the whole thing was, are there any more videos out there, period? Well, and I specifically asked about the video of Ronald Johnson, and he said not to his knowledge, which to me was either a lie or misleading, because the next day I found out that the Corporation Council had access to this video. And so I'm asking for the release of Ronald Johnson's video. His mother even said she saw the video, and her son did not have any weapon in his hand. And so in order to bring this to light, let's see this video.
Hold on a second, Dave. Here's the point I'm making. If we're looking for videos, we're too late. They already got them. I'm worried about the children now who are going to end up on a video. And how do we deal with the system?
We're not too late if we're not highlighting what's really happening in totality.
But the shooting's not what happened, though. The shooting
have to be released.
The shooting isn't the crime, though, Dave. The shooting isn't the crime. It's what happened to Laquan before he got to that day. That's what I want us to deal with.
Yeah, that's a crime in itself as well.
That's the bigger crime here, because he shouldn't have been on that street like that.
If we have to dig into it and get the facts on that, because before we say the system failed him, which I'm not saying that it didn't, we have to know the steps and how it failed him. Was he in a home? Did he run away from the home? Was he pulled back? All this stuff.
One of his teachers in the school that he was in said something that kind of struck me. He said that Laquan, for the first time in his life, had adults that he could trust.
Right.
That was at the alternative school. That was the principal.
Right. Now imagine living 17 years of your life and not having a damn adult that you can trust. That's the crime.
But, I think it's also, I'm going to push back a little bit on the biggest part of it being the system and how it failed him before he was shot 17 times or 16 times, because I think that while that is totally relevant, I think that it kind of goes back to this underlying narrative of a lot of the brutality cases of what this person could have done differently, when what we can focus on is like, he is gone, like a 17-year-old. I mean, think about who you were at 17 years old. Think about the 17-year-olds.
Yeah, that was a good time too, boy.
Right, but think about the 17-year-olds in your life. And I think that makes it a little bit more stark, and thinking about what was lost rather than the politics of what it can become, or focusing on things that seem too big to kind of encounter or deal with. But I think when you personalize it and think about that and how that can be impacted in just the people who are within our spheres and our space, and also, legitimately, not to take away anything from the efforts that are being made to try to break down those systems. These are entrenched institutional systems, and power does not concede easily for anything.
The system could not exert control over Laquan.
Right.
Had he had a good 16 or 17 years of solid help, he would not have been on that street. I'm not blaming Laquan for being out there. Not at all.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is they did fail him. The system failed him. And I'd like some of these politicians to step up and say, listen, let's talk about what happened to him before he got to that night.
Do you think they really care, Eric?
Dave cares. Dave cares. No, Dave cares. That's why Dave is here.
Dave. I'm talking about the system. If you've ever been through one of these foster care systems, it's not a wonderful thing. Many of these individuals are getting paid to take these children in. And sometimes you have to wonder whether they're doing it because they love children, or they're trying to get paid.
Some extra income, and I've seen that over the years.
And there are people who have legitimately good cause as well. I mean, I say that as the daughter of one. Right. Absolutely. My mother worked within the training parents for the foster care system. But I mean, getting back to your point though, in terms of what could be done, I think that there is what could have been done for him, because he, unfortunately, his life is gone now. And I think it should be a motivator for what we can do within our own lives to make sure that we're reaching out to those 17-year-olds that don't have a lot of hope in their life.
Let's start with the 3-year-olds.
Yeah.
He started as a 3-year-old in this maze of mess that he got himself, that he was in, not by his own fault. That's a mess.
Yeah.
And so there are children out there right now in the city of Chicago, in your ward too, Dan.
Absolutely.
In your ward who are on the same path as Laquan, and they don't want to be. They want to have a good, full life with opportunity. And so we're busy focusing on the damn videos and what happened, and that's important. We should do that. Let's also focus on the children behind him who may face the same fate because the system is so jacked up.
So what do you think can be done about the system? I mean, I think, we were talking about the 5 million before, and obviously, there's going to be lawsuits and there's going to be protests, but what have you seen, Alderman, that has been done to be effective in terms of pushing back on the lack of transparency within, police departments, or even just kind of policing within your own ward that has been improved within the relationship within the community?
Well, it's not just a policing standpoint. It's policy in this administration. It's the administration and pushing transparency with this administration, and it's up to aldermen in the city council, or whether this is the state level, to make sure things are transparent. And you cannot be so afraid of anybody, whoever's mayor or whoever is governor, to challenge them for transparency, because everything is, number one, belongs to the public. You're paying our salary, you're paying the mayor's salary, anything is your tax dollars, and everything needs to be above ground and transparent.
Right. So as a journalist who looks for that transparency, and as the freelance, how we even came to light and to talk about this video and to talk about Laquan McDonald on an international scope, was a freelance journalist here in Chicago who couldn't even make a salary doing his journalism full time. He's an Uber driver. He's done other things as well. And Brandon Smith was his name, not even 30 years old.
He's a white guy
too, right? He's the one who filed the Freedom of Information Act. And I think that
you're right, but
that was a fight to even get this out. And this was what was already owed to the public. So what I'm saying is a lot of those laws and a lot of those systems are already in place and are there, but the transparency isn't happening. And why is a police or a politician going to offer for more transparency if there's stuff that they legitimately do not want to be
seen? And
seen?
before you go on, I appreciate what Brandon has done, and it's been a team effort, but it was William Calloway, an activist, young activist, who brought this to light and pushed and got Brandon, the independent journalist, involved. And so I appreciate Brandon, but don't underestimate. And that's why I say our young people, that's why I like to see them out on the forefront, are going to be the ones to help change this. And I also remember this, and I tell all my residents this at every meeting I have: I, as your alderman, am powerless. You have the power. I am one vote out of 50. But as your voice and as your collective voice, you have policy come from the people. Policy come from people. They come from organizations. They come from institutions that push those policies. And so when you talk about transparency, it's our community constantly waking up and saying, what are you all doing? If you don't push this, then you're out.
Right.
Push people out that's not pushing the people's agenda.
Craig, you were involved with the whole Freedom of Information Act, weren't you?
Yes. Let me jump in if you don't mind. Just a couple of points. First, on going back to what Alicia was saying when this was first published in the press, and I remember reading about this as well. And I'm going to be honest, my eyes glazed over. My eyes glazed over when I saw that Trib article, and I also saw something just flash across the Channel 5 news. And you know why my eyes glazed over? This is something that happens in the city on average one time a week, and it's happened an average of one time a week as long as I've lived here. And 75% of the people who are shot and killed by police are Black, and it's the same story every time. And it's not just, and I push back on it's just being a Laquan McDonald. It could have been any of our kids. It's 9:30 at night. Kids, adolescents. My kids are not perfect. It could have been out there, and it could have been them as well. And Laquan didn't have someone to speak for him, though. And so one of the things, and this goes to Eric's question too, is that, he was abandoned in so many different ways. But, when I read it, when all of us read it, and back to media, even asking the right questions and following up, all of our eyes glazed over. A lot of us did not give enough care about the life of this young Black man, or any young Black man for that matter, going through this, to ask those questions and to care enough to make change. But I want to say a couple things just about things that could be done and also how this came about. And yes, major props go to William, go to Brandon, the young folks who've been organizing. But something else, something that happened, and this would have just been glossed over, I got a call from someone from the inside the system, confidentially, who said, man, this is going to be buried. This young man was executed in the street. There's a video. It's going to be buried unless people speak out and do something about this. That's when we first called for the release of the video, and I wound up representing Brandon Smith in court ultimately. But it was someone from the inside who cared.
And what month? And what month was that?
To act. And that was back right when it happened. And we've been pushing for, as everyone's been counting, these 400 days, or nearly 400 days. But I want to say just one or two just quick things about, concrete stuff. Because we can talk about the system, we can talk about how folks are banning. There are a couple of just concrete things that we can do and that matter a lot. And it starts with honesty. And it's like when stuff like this happens, it's bottom line. It's police departments bemoan the lack of trust and why black folks don't trust in law and history, yada, yada, yada. But at the same point, and it does go back, it's like, if you're not honest with people, why are you going to be trusted? You're not going to be trusted. And so it starts with just a little bit of honesty when this stuff happens. So that narrative, and a narrative backed up by the entire department. We can talk about the cover-up story. I'll hold off on that, but we can talk about that, about what happened. But then we also then learn about, and this is something concretely that folks can do. This guy who executed this young boy as he lay prone on the ground, shot him like a dog, repeatedly. And from what I heard, and this I didn't know, he was reloading his clip after shooting him 16 times. He was about to keep shooting.
Yeah, another officer stopped him.
Until someone grabs his hand and said, "Stop this mess." But concrete things. So this officer, as it turns out, back to the different things that could change it, and maybe we'd have a 17-year-old who's still be living with us right now. This officer had, within just the last 4.5 years before that, 20 other complaints, including 2 prior shootings. There was also a jury verdict against him for brutality that cost the city, you want to talk about more money, another $500,000 plus. All that information was known, never disciplined, ever, never stopped. And this is a policy, and this is a policy that needs to be changed. And here's 2 things, 2 very concrete things that we can do.
Contract.
One, we'll talk about the FOP contract. But thing number one is the city and the police department. This is IPRA, as a matter of practice and as a matter of policy, refuses to look at pattern of complaint evidence. Pattern evidence, the same kind of evidence we use every day to address crime, refuses to look at pattern evidence when it comes to rooting out the small percent of the bad apples who are out there. And this isn't a bad apple problem. More than a bad apple problem.
Right. If I can just interject, brutality-related lawsuits, according to the Chicago Sun-Times 2014 investigation, cost Chicago taxpayers $521 million over the last decade.
That's right.
10 years, $521 million. What could you do with that money for the city of Chicago?
Education.
Yeah. One last point, and I'll shut up in terms of the concrete thing. So, as I just said about this pattern, so this 20 plus complaints the last 4.5 years, 2 shootings, virtually everyone was black, including the racial insults, racial abuse by this guy, and nothing ever happens. Now, back to the FOP contract, and what's going on right now, nobody knows about it, not in the press, needs to be, is FOP is seeking to completely destroy, and got an order from an arbitrator to destroy all records more than 5 years old.
Wow.
To destroy basically the public info. So this is
what's the pushback on that?
Wait a minute.
There's no pushback because people don't know about it. And so if you want to talk about concrete things that folks can do, is force our legislature to pass a law, don't destroy police misconduct records. Our local records commission could do that also right now and order them not to destroy those records.
That's right.
2, pressure the city so that they cannot, as the Alderman said, this FOP contract, We're talking about bargaining away accountability, bargaining away public records, stuff that belongs to us, stuff that we have right now. We got to sit on another commission for the state of Illinois called the Illinois Torture Commission, related to the torture committed by John Birch and all. There are more than 100 claims pending before me right now of people who are sitting in prison who say that they are there wrongfully because of torture that occurred some as many as 20, 25 years ago. And man, the courts just released someone about a month ago who'd been in for 25 years due to torture.
Okay, Craig, hold your thought for a second, man. We got to take a break, man. Because you're on your soapbox now, baby. You're on that box, man. The number is 773-763-9278. Stay tuned for more of the Family Meeting.
I'm Darlene Oliver from Public Allies Chicago. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. All benefits are subject to policy definitions, limitations, and exclusions. For details, visit qualityoflifeinsurance.com.
Traditionally, it's taken many kinds of insurance to give you security. Quality of Life Insurance is changing all that. It can provide life insurance, protect against disability, and provide benefits if you suffer a serious illness or injury and survive.
To find out more, contact the Polaris Insurance Agency. Visit polarisadvice.com or call 312-951-2606 to learn about how we can help you make a plan for your future. That's 312-951-2606.
Itsashort.com. The website is itsashort.com, spelled ITSASHORT.com. We have wonderful success stories. A lot of our artists are sort of award-winning short film makers, and they go on to become feature-length filmmakers or, actors in TV series, or some of the major blockbuster films that are out now. So there's a lot of our artists that you will see in Academy Award-winning feature-length films. And we also have like Marshall Curry is an Academy Award-winning documentarian. So we have that caliber of artist on our platform. Our subscription, we are a subscription-based service, but your first month is free. And if you happen to be an artist, there is no subscription fee for you. Our subscription is $2 a month or $20 for the year, which entitles you to be able to see all of these amazing short film, video, and web series. There is always a discount for Family Meeting. Just simply when you register, use the promo code FAMILY, and you will be granted a free 1-year subscription.
Okay, listeners, get ready for the $80,000 question. How much does 1 year in a private nursing home cost today? If you guessed $80,000, you're almost right, according to the Genworth 2012 Cost of Care Survey. In fact, depending on your location, it can be even higher. And while more than 70% of us will need long-term care at some point during our lives, most of us have no idea how we'll pay for it. Agents with the Polaris Insurance Agency can help. Contact the Polaris Insurance Agency for free information that can help you make a plan. Don't outlive your financial resources. Call the Polaris Insurance Agency today at 312-951-2606.
The Howard University online EMBA is tailor-made for busy professionals seeking a competitive edge in business and government organizations. Their 18-month program also connects you through their elite networking and professional development events, including an optional trip to China. For more information, go to howardemba.com.
Hi, this is Tommy Nelson. Visit me at A Custom Cabinet Design, Facebook.com. Welcome back to the Family Meeting.
The number 773-763-9278. Dave and I were talking during the break. They should have got this boy when he was 3 years old. Now, when we wait till he's 16 and try to fix him, it's a lot to unfurl at that point. But when he's 3, something should have happened a little more robust than I think what happened. Him getting passed around to foster homes and the sexual abuse going on and staying with grandmama. And as soon as he got in the system, he was in juvenile detention. There should have been something done to intervene. The system to protect these children is not robust enough. I'm watching all of these governments, all these great 8 governments, scour the earth looking for terrorists now. How about scouring the earth looking for children who are in trouble? Do that. Save them.
Or about these 10,000 refugees they're trying to bring over to this country and give them Social Security, medical cards, a place to stay. And we've got a lot of these children that money could be used for, even some of the homeless and our veterans.
It's a very small amount of refugees, and it's obviously within kind of a horrible situation that's happening in Syria. Just to push back on that. I think you can do
Well, you don't want to
it's
get
not
me
either.
started on that.
It's not either or. I think it's and.
Well, let's not wander off in refugees. We can get that next time. But let me take a couple of calls here to see if I can let somebody else kind of weigh in on the conversation. Let me get Lou in Chicago. Lou, what's up, man?
Oh, hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Okay, I was the guy you told me not to call you crazy. I don't know if you remember.
You can call me crazy, man. It's the holidays. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, happy holidays to you and everyone on your panel.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Same.
Likewise.
Yeah. You know, they were calling, I think it was the father, I forget his name, Flaherty, was calling for a boycott on
Flager, yeah.
Flager. I'm sorry. And so
he wasn't the only one. There were others as well. It was a collective effort. Reverend Jackson, it just wasn't one voice. It was other voices calling for it as well.
Okay. Well, I have my issues with Jesse Jackson. He doesn't like my people, but that's a separate side story. So I figured me and my soon-to-be fiance, we were going to stay downtown and go. We're not big shoppers, but we were going to go to the museum. We canceled, and I just hope that someone in power realizes that what they call in marketing the tip of the iceberg theory. Like the person who actually calls them, says, "I'm canceling my reservation, my hotel. I'm not going to stay there." They're representative of so many people like me who don't call in, who actually just do it. And I hope the numbers come out that it was not a good season for shopping on Black Friday in Chicago.
That was the plan.
Yeah.
Well, I was so appalled, and I'm so proud of the people who stood up and protested and even got arrested, and peacefully. But
peacefully is the key word there. Peacefully.
Thank you, sir,
Yeah,
for saying that it was peaceful, because the Sun-Times front page tried to make it, although the article read what you just said peacefully, the Sun-Times front page tried to make it seem like it was something other than that.
Yeah, and anytime you have a protest, there's always going to be a handful of jerks, right?
Yes.
That get arrested. I think this says something about the entire Chicago community and everybody, with the talk of Chirac and all, people that can show up and just because a handful of jerks do something and be peaceful and make their voices heard, I think, that's a remarkable thing. It's wonderful. And it speaks to our democracy and
First
everything
Amendment
else.
right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lou, I appreciate it, Lou. Thanks a bunch, man.
Yeah, just keep up what you're doing, and I'll keep listening.
Happy holidays, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Lou.
Too, sir.
Okay.
Bye.
Let's get Laura here in Chicago. Laura, what's up?
Yeah, hey, hi. Thanks for having the show.
She said, hey and hi. She said, hey, hi. Hey and hi. Hi. Hi.
So I wanted to say, besides firing Alvarez, or indicting Alvarez, actually, and indicting McCarthy for the cover-up, and getting rid of Rahm, I'm wondering what your guest thinks about the Citizen Police Accountability Board. It's an ordinance in the City Council to create an elected Citizen Police Accountability Board. I'm thinking it's a good idea, so I'd like to hear his opinion as well.
Okay.
I think it's
Thanks, Laura.
I think it's a great idea. I've heard about the ordinance. I have not been briefed on it. It was not given to me yet. I think some lobbyists, if you will, or community people came around and just spoke to me about it, but I have not officially seen the ordinance, but it's definitely something as an alderman that I'm in favor of.
See, I don't know about, I think it's a good idea in principle.
In theory.
Yeah, like body cameras are. But, we're always, when we're talking about this stuff, we're talking about dealing with the hearts of people. And all they'll do is try to maneuver around whatever committee we put together, whatever's task force, whatever camera they have on. Hell, in this case, somehow or another, they remove the audio from the video. I mean, all you're doing is by creating committees is trying to maneuver around people's hearts. Isn't it
and you're also
change.
messing with people's power, and that's going to be problematic in terms of how you get access to the critical information you need to make change. It doesn't mean that it's a bad idea, and I'm don't want to just to clarify my point. I think it would just be really interesting. I think there's a lot more information that needs to be said if it just becomes another bureaucratic organization that gets us to where we are now.
Yeah, this is management 101. Somebody needs to come in and revamp the culture of policing in the country.
How do you think that would happen? I mean,
the same way it does in a corporation.
But what is an example of when that has been effective? I mean, look at what LAPD has gone through.
I can't point to
King.
one, but I can also point to an entrenched organization that behaves a certain way that needs to be changed.
Absolutely, it does.
Well, the first thing that you want to look at in this incident, we've got this one fella that's out now, that's up for first-degree murder. What about the 7 other police officers that watched him in action? What about the guy that told him not to put a new clip in? He had 16 bullet clips. Okay, there are a lot of people.
And what about the one standing around and didn't give him medical attention?
And what about the one that went over to Burger King and allegedly deleted 86 minutes of the tape? It's a whole system.
You know about that, Craig?
Yeah, unfortunately, I know all too much about it. So after we got the call.
Who's we now, man? You got to quit talking in pronouns, man. Who's we?
Well, we is me.
That's the crew of me, myself, and I. I work with that crew too.
we is me, but then the we really became then my students, another independent journalist by the name of Jamie Calvin, and then many others. Who work with us. And then the we who I can't name is there were people inside the city who back to kind of like, so the power of the code of silence and what needs to be changed. It's like, this is what went into effect immediately afterwards the shooting. This is the same story that we read all the time. Young man had a weapon coming at me, shot him in self-defense. Our eyes glaze over. How many times do we see that story? How many times every year? At least once a week. Okay. So, but what happened, but this is when we investigated and we don't have all the information because, we don't have copies of the police reports. They weren't given to us. Those are among the things that really ought to come out. And this investigation, when people call for independent investigation, let's not let the feds off the hook because they have an open investigation right now. They're independent. They're independent from the city of Chicago. They're independent from the state's attorney.
Supposedly is the magic word there, though. Supposedly.
Yeah. They have a responsibility to address those many other officers and also how high this thing and how far this goes up. They have a responsibility, and it's the people's responsibility to hold them accountable to do it. But here's the quick story to cover up, or at least the quick parts is immediately after this happens, a number of police officers arrive on the scene. There were witnesses, and we've talked to actually at least 3 of the witnesses who are out there, and then people at the Burger King too. So actually more than just 3 of the witnesses. And first thing that happens when the detectives and police officers arrive, they tell them to get the hell out of there. There was a woman, who, while this guy was shooting, was just screaming, "Stop shooting! Stop shooting!" She refuses to leave. And so she gets taken down to the police station. She says that she's locked up in there in a room and she's intimidated. She's told she didn't see what she saw.
Yep.
I mean, so you want to talk about felonies. And then, as you said, and it's not just one guy, but actually a number of officers then went into the Burger King because there's surveillance video from Burger King. They have 7 different files, as you folks have mentioned, 86 minutes. And this was the stuff that the shooting wasn't captured on that Burger King video, but this was what happened leading up to it. And and this I found funny, and this is something that we have seen as well, is so they delete 7 different video files from the Burger King hard drive. But you know what? The surveillance tape is going while they're doing it. And so guess what? There's the videotape of them erasing the video.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know this was there.
And 4 additional 4 additional video.
And what I'm told, and I haven't seen the police reports, but what I'm told about the police reports is that there was a narrow mention of the Burger King surveillance video anywhere. This isn't police officers going and collecting evidence. This was deleting, destroying evidence. So that's why I say, unless some folks on the inside who had the courage, because this is putting their lives, putting their careers everything on the line, had the courage to step forward. My eyes glazed over this. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say I would have investigated this any more than I would have deeply investigated any of the other 50-plus shootings that occur.
That's maddening, man. That whole thing is maddening. We got to take a break and do some news, but that whole thing is maddening. I'm watching a statement from Police Commissioner McCarthy, and in quotes here, he says they're going to be obliterated. The gang just signed its death warrant, and he was speaking about
young black men.
Yeah, about the young black man and the killing of the 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee. Isn't that kind of gangy or thuggish? They're going to be obliterated. The gang just signed its death warrant.
He's trying to keep his job. His job is on the line now, from what I'm hearing in his voice.
So now he's going to talk tough. Now he's threatening people with death. I mean, it's much harder to wage peace than it is to wage war.
Right.
And if this man would find a way to wage some peace, police to wage peace, you might find some better results.
We should look at the way he left New Jersey under a cloud.
New Jersey's always under a cloud.
No, but under his administration.
Yeah. He was in New York too, I think, right?
Yeah.
So he needs to go. I still want to get to what happened to that boy before that day, though. I still want to get there because that's a problem for me. Sorry, y'all. Hey, listen, I see Steve, Lorenzo, Jesus, Richard. I see you guys holding. Stay tuned for more of the Family Meeting.
Hello, this is Dr. John Artis from Health on Earth Wellness Centers. You can visit us at www.healthonearth.org. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Do you have a pain that won't cease? A health issue that's not getting better? It may be time you visited Health on Earth Wellness Centers. With over 20 years experience, 4 Chicagoland locations, and patients that range from 2 months old to 93, Health on Earth Wellness Centers are fully prepared to meet all your chiropractic needs. We have state-of-the-art facilities in Crestwood, Tinley Park, the South Loop, and Naperville. Don't let being healthy be your last resort. Make it your first choice. Make an appointment today at healthonearth.org. That's healthonearth.org.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. All benefits are subject to policy definitions, limitations, and exclusions. For details, visit qualityoflifeinsurance.com.
How do you describe quality of life? For most of us, it's about health, people we love, and peace of mind. Quality of Life Insurance is modern, affordable life insurance that works harder for you. It's there for your family if you die, but it can also provide benefits if you suffer a serious illness or injury and need financial help to maintain your lifestyle. Quality of Life Insurance even gives you options to build cash value for a more secure retirement. You've worked hard to attain your quality of life. We work hard to help you protect it.
To find out more, contact the Polaris Insurance Agency. Visit polarisadvice.com or call 312-951-2606 to learn about how we can help you make a plan for your future. That's 312-951-2606.
This is Carmen Ruffin, co-host of The Family Meeting. We love being here every Sunday. Our sponsors and advertisers make that possible. So if you're a business owner or a manager, please consider advertising on our show. There's something for every budget, from one commercial per show to a full sponsorship.
For more information, contact The Family Meeting at info@tfmradioshow.com. That's info@tfmradioshow.com.
And now the Family Meeting presents your Chicago Defender News.
Hi, I'm Alicia Stewart, and here are the top stories from ChicagoDefender.com. Chicago protesters had a large demonstration on the city's Magnificent Mile to disrupt the Black Friday holiday, calling for a Justice Department probe into the shooting death of a teenager by a police officer. Protesters have consistently and peacefully protested the death of Laquan McDonald, a 17-year-old who was fatally shot 16 times by Officer Jason Van Dyke last year, since the 400-day delayed release of an edited video showed the graphic killing. The footage was released, against the city's wishes, only after a freelance journalist, Brandon Smith, submitted a Freedom of Information Act request. Van Dyke, 37, was charged with first-degree murder. He is being held without bond. Police have charged Corey Morgan, 27, with first-degree murder in the shooting death of 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee. A judge denied bail for Morgan on Friday. Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy said investigators say at least 3 people were involved with the incident. An arrest warrant has been issued for Kevin Edwards, and police are looking for a third unknown individual, police said late Friday. McCarthy said Morgan is a documented gang member and convicted felon. Investigators had been questioning Morgan in the case. He was arrested on an unrelated gun charge and was released on bail. Around 4 p.m. on November 2nd, Tyshawn was lured into an alley near West 80th Street and South Damon Avenue and executed. He was shot in the head and suffered several grazed wounds. Authorities said the child was executed in retaliation for his father's gang ties in an ongoing fight between rival gangs. Pierre Stokes, Tyshawn's father, has denied those allegations. A man accused of killing 3, including a police officer, when he attacked a Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado Springs, Colorado, was arrested after a tense 5-hour standoff with police Friday. Police have not yet identified a motive for the suspect, 57-year-old Robert Louis Deere, but many speculate a conservative pro-life stance may have fueled what some are calling a terroristic act towards women, including the Planned Parenthood branch of the Rocky Mountains. Officer Garrett Swayze of the University of Colorado Springs Police Department died while responding to the shooting. 2 other civilians were also killed in the attack. 9 others, including 5 officers, were wounded. Gunshots were first reported around 11:38 a.m. Deere started his rampage in the parking lot before entering the building. It wasn't until 5 p.m. that Deere walked out of the facility, where he was handcuffed and taken into police custody. 2 men have been arrested in relation to an attack that took place at a luxury hotel in the capital of Mali last week that claimed the lives of 20 people. During the incident, 2 gunmen entered the hotel and fired at security guards and people sitting in a breakfast dining area. Troops entered the building to rescue guests and hotel staff. The 2 shooters were killed at the scene. According to reports, 2 more suspects associated with the incident were apprehended in Bamako. There have been no details released regarding the extent of their involvement in the shooting. Read, watch at ChicagoDefender.com, Black Eye Friday, shoppers brawl at Walmarts across the country. Don't spend one dime, Jordan Davis's father calls for Blackout Friday on spending holiday. And a Black scholar explaining why African Americans should vote Republican. For more on these stories and other up-to-date news, and to get your weekly subscription, visit ChicagoDefender.com. Also, sign up for the Chicago Defender Daily Digital Newsletter. I'm Alicia Stewart, and this has been your Chicago Defender News. We'll be right back with more of the family meeting.
You don't know what you've got till it's gone. You don't know what you've got till it's gone.
Your favorite progressive voices: Bill Press, Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Norman Goldman, Amy Goodman, and Alan Combs, all on one station. This is 820 AM WCPT Willow Springs, 92.5 WCPT FM DeKalb, 92.7 FM WCPY Arlington Heights, 99.9 FM WCPQ Park Forest, and streaming worldwide at chicagosprogressivetalk.com. This is Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. All benefits are subject to policy definitions, limitations, and exclusions. For details, visit qualityoflifeinsurance.com.
How do you describe quality of life? For most of us, it's about health, people we love, and peace of mind. Quality of life insurance is modern, affordable life insurance that works harder for you. It's there for your family if you die, but it can also provide benefits if you suffer a serious illness or injury and need financial help to maintain your lifestyle. Quality of life insurance even gives you options to build cash value for a more secure retirement. You've worked hard to attain your quality of life. We work hard to help you protect it.
To find out more, contact the Polaris Insurance Agency. Visit polarisadvice.com or call 312-951-2606 to learn about how we can help you make a plan for your future. That's 312-951-2606.
Do you have a pain that won't cease? A health issue that's not getting better? It may be time you visited Health on Earth Wellness Centers. With over 20 years experience, 4 Chicagoland locations, and patients that range from 2 months old to 93, Health on Earth Wellness Centers are fully prepared to meet all your chiropractic needs. We have state-of-the-art facilities in Crestwood, Tinley Park, the South Loop, in Naperville. Don't let being healthy be your last resort. Make it your first choice. Make an appointment today at healthonearth.org. That's healthonearth.org.
The Howard University online EMBA is tailor-made for busy professionals seeking a competitive edge in business and government organizations. Their 18-month program also connects you through their elite networking and professional development events, including an optional trip to China. For more information, go to howardemba.com.
Singing songs for survival. I'm only bringing you the real. Grammy with Lord Jamal, Sadat X. Raised in the ghetto, singing songs for survival. If you know what I'm talking about.
Hey, this is Stephanie Miller. Be sure to tune into my show Monday through Friday, 8 to 11 a.m. But right now, keep listening to The Family Meeting on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT, AM and FM.
And the number is 773-763-9278. Dave, you know, the SOS Villages, that's a great organization.
It is. And it's like one in the 17th Ward. And they're just doing excellent work over there and getting the families not only under great care, but working to put them back with their mother as they give the mother help as well.
The full name is SOS Children's Villages, I think, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Look that up, guys. If you're listening to us now, look that up on the web. SOS Children's Villages. I know of at least 2 locations, and now a third with the one you talked about that's in your ward.
Right.
And again, my concern is that Laquan was a ward of the state. And I'd like to see us exert as much concern about how children are being treated in the system as we do towards these videotapes and what happened that night.
Absolutely.
So you guys have any initiatives in City Hall that you're doing to?
I mean, again, I'm not saying it's just a state issue. DCFS is run by the state of Illinois. And so I think it's incumbent upon all of us, whether it's in city council, whether it's in the state legislature, or whether it's in Congress, to make sure that children who are wards of the state have every access and resources that they need in order to succeed. So I think that's very critical at all levels of government.
Because, you know, this is going to happen again. Let's face it, it's going to happen again. And there's some child out there now who's 3, 4, 5 years old who's on the path to be in harm's way. And my question is, what do we do about that now?
Well, I mean, it's like what we were talking about, how, and I know at the young age and as children are passed from, for whatever reasons, that's why you got to look at all the facts. And when you start getting into what happened before this night with his life, what actually can you do? Because I've known of people that were wards of the state who had loving foster parents and they ran away. How do you keep a child from running away based on whatever issues?
Child doesn't run away if he's in a good situation.
That's not true. Depending on what issues that they're dealing with, people don't like. Some people don't like structure.
Then there's issues then,
right? They don't like structure even.
Right.
And so depending on what age you got them, what's going on.
My kids don't like structure.
Even our own children, and sometimes, you know, well, I hate you, daddy. I hate you, mommy. You know, threaten to run away.
Black children don't do that. Yeah. You know, black children.
No.
You get that ass.
No, some do.
Right.
And yeah, let's be real.
Right.
and so you have to know all the facts to leading up to that.
I don't disagree with you at all. And what you're highlighting are the problems that come along with raising children. Mm-hmm. I have children. He has children. You have children. We know there's problems with raising children.
Hey, daughter. Don't put children.
Child. Okay. I ain't put it on you like that. It'd be a scandal. Dave's got children. No, but there are issues with raising children. My point is that the system is too far to the other direction. It isn't doing the right job with children. And again, this is not to put the onus on Laquan, not at all. But it's to say that he definitely didn't have the resources he needed to be able to not be in that street that night.
So, I mean, I guess I'm a little bit, I feel like this is going in a different direction because there's plenty of young Black men who have been shot to death by police. We can look at Trayvon Martin. We can look at plenty of other. I can look at people within my personal network who have been brutalized by
Ronald
police,
Johnson
and
himself,
that
who was with his mother.
parents had parents that had very active parents. I think the caution is it speaks a little bit too much toward the kind of Black respectability politics, that if we do everything right, then this isn't going to happen. And
no, I'm not going there.
That's why I guess I'm cautious in just kind of pushing back on that narrative, because in the same way there was a framework and a narrative that is easy to,
but Lisa,
have your eyes glaze off, almost done, eyes glaze over, to whether when you hear this story is the same way we can automatically go to, well, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and he's gone. And so I think the onus is then to have, see what are the specifics, either around what happened in this case, to move things forward. I mean, as a journalist, in terms of what are the questions to ask, I mean, that's, how to look at that as a parent, et
I don't disagree with you as it
Mhm.
relates to this case.
Mhm.
What I'm talking about is the child we don't know yet
Mhm.
that is on that path.
Mhm.
That's what I want to make sure we deal with also.
Mhm.
Hmm?
Fair enough.
Okay. That's all
Well,
I'm saying.
one of the things that is happening with our children today, Eric, from my vantage point, is many of these children don't have a moral anchor. I was teaching in a CPS class about 15 years ago, and I asked the children in this class, and you can't ask kids about sex or their sexuality, their religion,
Yeah, I'd rather you
and
didn't do that.
CPS.
Yeah.
80% of them don't go to church. 80% of them don't go to church. And why? Well, what are you saying? We have to all go to church? I'm saying some of these children.
Yeah, what are you saying? We all should go to church?
I'm saying that we should all develop some type of moral turpitude. And the quickest way to do that is in a religious environment. And then, of course, we have to go to the home where this is taught. They tell us that we have between birth and age 5 to develop tape for children. And they spend the rest of their lives after age 5 either replacing or erasing that particular tape. So those are the critical years for this young man or these children you speak of, is between age 0 and 5.
Well, I tell you what, I want to hear from my man Tommy now, if you guys don't mind. Let's see what Tommy has to say about all this. Tom, what's up, man?
First of all, I'd like to let everybody know that Tommy's rant is not sanctioned by the family meeting, WCPT, News Web Radio, or anybody else that cares about what I have to say. But let's go to the heart of this matter. There are 4 things that I stay away from, 4 conversations I refuse to even have. The first one is liberty and justice for all. For the last time I checked, hell, I'm still trying to figure out who the all is, because it sure in the hell ain't us. The next one is, why is it necessary for you to vote if you want to affect change in your particular reality or circumstance? The next one is, when the in-laws don't come around, I'm just as happy as hell about it, nothing to talk about. The last one, of course, is this one. It is clear as clear can be. We want to go and we want to decipher the backgrounds and what is happening in these individuals' life, and nobody wants to deal with a simple fact. Whether a person has come from a great background or one that is not what we would consider to be great, do they or do they not have the right to live as human beings? When you can see a young man gunned down in the premise of this man was gunned down, and then you look at individuals who are supposed to serve and protect, you look at a White House that's supposed to have a Justice Department, and you come right back up with the same thing again, just us. 45,650,250 black people who live in the United States of America, and we have been getting shot, hung, you name it, and then the narrative is, be calm, be cool, and above all, don't be angry. I don't know anymore, but I can sure as hell tell you this. If a society is supposed to exist, if those who are supposed to uphold the law are above the law, and then there's no one to come and see about those individuals, are you really surprised that this young man was wandering around in the street? If the United States government is supposed to be the last sanction and anchor for the well-being of the citizens of the United States of America, and they go down to Ferguson and come back and say, oh, everything is okay, are you really wondering why the hell things are the way that they are? I tell you what, let's just go back down on Michigan Avenue. Let's see how that works for you. This is Tommy's Rant. Keep listening to the family meeting. And above all, guess what? I had a great Thanksgiving. The relatives got lost coming to the house. The kids got locked up in the garage some kind of crazy way. The neighbors took the turkey, and I just had one hell of a time. Bye.
You can catch Tommy's Tantrum sometime during the 5 o'clock hour during the family meeting every Sunday. Thanks, Tom. We appreciate that. I hope you get your blue pill today. Let's get Lorenzo here. Lorenzo has been calling from Lansing. Let me see if I can get the phone to work. Hey, Lorenzo, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you folks? How are you all? Hopefully you all had a wonderful holiday, and may God continue to bless and smile on your lives and of you and yours.
Thank you so much. Same to you.
My original point was what they are. Well, first of all, Tommy's rant was on point. It's on point. And basically what it is, we live in a system that is totally dysfunctional to begin with. Eric, to your point, when you're talking about the 17 years, I was just having a conversation with someone, and I was telling them that what a person's decisions are based on is what they come up in and what they're around. That is what forms our decision-making process. If that is flawed, what do you, like Tommy said, what do you expect? If it's, garbage in, garbage out. To your point also, Eric, about the system that failed this young man, Mr. McDonald. His parents failed him. His mother failed him. And that's a tragedy in and of itself. That's the dysfunction. The system, it was a person that adopted 2 children. And the system, I didn't realize it until I got involved with the system, that the system was totally jacked up. Child Protective Services is jacked up. It needs to be changed. But with this, my original point was that the fact that, are you all still there?
Yeah. You're still here, listening intently, man.
My point is that even this charge that Ms. Alvarez filed is flawed, and I think, I'm not an attorney, y'all should have had Darnell on, Mr. Lyles on today, this one. But the thing of it is, the first degree, if you read what and a friend of mine hit me up on this, the charge of first degree murder, if you look at the language in that and what it constitutes, they might get him off on that, because it's the charge that they're charging him with. And if you read, like I said, what first degree murder is, it's not congruent.
But the thing, Lorenzo, that I think that, and I was like you up until the other day when someone kind of hit me up to this. First degree murder in the state of Illinois is a little bit different than it is nationally. So it's
just not on intent, and that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah, the intent is not part of first degree murder like it is nationally.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
see.
So it's a little different.
Well, information is power, man. So, but the bottom line is, the mayor has to go, Rahm Emanuel has to go, because there's no way he did not know about this. If he knew, it's bad. If he didn't know, it's bad.
He should have known. Right.
Well, my gut tells me he knew, because that, like he said, that tape was out. I'm sure that it went beyond the prosecutor, and I'm sure that it went higher than Ms. Alvarez. So Rahm has to go. Chewy needs to be put in. Ms. Alvarez needs to go. The officer, of course, that did the heinous act, he needs to go. All of the officers because you always hear about somebody talking about the good cop. And every time I see one of these stories, I always put out there, where was the good cop in this situation?
Right.
Apparently, he was too late. He was trying to stop him from reloading his gun.
Well, problem when you have a I think they call it a blue line of silence or something like that.
Code of silence. They're code of silence.
I call it the code of sin, because when evil prevails, when good men do nothing.
Ah, well put, man. That's the thought of the day. Lorenzo, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
God bless y'all.
You too, man.
May bless you.
Wow. He hit it on the head that time, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's take another break. They come too fast, don't they? They come way too fast. 773-763-9278. Steve, you're next. Debo's back, and Richard and Elgin. Stay tuned for more of the Family Meeting.
My name is Charles Hilson. I'm with GBG Insurance. The website is www.gbgins.com. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. All
Eric.
policies are subject to policy definitions, limitations, and exclusions. For
Eric.
details, visit qualityouflifeinsurance.com.
Whether you're repairing a lamp or
Eric, did you see Debo from Zoltar? Yeah, okay.
or if you suffer a serious illness or injury, talk to your local agent to shed a little light on life insurance you don't have to die to use.
To find out more, contact the Polaris Insurance Agency. Visit polarisadvice.com or call 312-951-2606 to learn about how we can help you make a plan for your future. That's 312-951-2606.
This is Richard Chu, owner of First Capital Insurance Group, and my message is do what is doable. We each have a different measure of financial success. My mission is to help you define your financial goals in light of a realistic budget and time horizon. I want you to have a great year and a great life, but we have to keep it real. Is your retirement plan giving you the protection, interest rate, and cash you'll need in retirement? If you've had issues with your 401k, IRA, or other financial programs, give us a call. We have proven solutions and we can help. My direct number is 312-243-3907. Let's talk soon, or visit my website, firstcig.com. That's the number 1, stcig.com.
This is Carmen Ruffin, co-host of The Family Meeting. We love being here every Sunday. Our sponsors and advertisers make that possible. So if you're a business owner or a manager, please consider advertising on our show. There's something for every budget, from one commercial per show to a full sponsorship.
For more information, contact The Family Meeting at info@tfmradioshow.com. That's info@tfmradioshow.com.
I'm Daryl Dean, the CEO of DNA Credit Card Processing Services. What we do is we set businesses up to accept all forms of payment. Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express. We do that online. We do that with free equipment, whether it's stationary or if it's POS systems, cash registers, we do it all. You can find us on DNACreditCardProcessingServices.com. Any business out there that wants to process credit cards should pick up that phone and call us at 708-890-2895.
This is Robert Orr. Welcome back to the Family Meeting.
Yes, 773-763-9278. So we were contemplating during the break impeachment procedures. Although you can't impeach executives in the state of Illinois. The state legislature passed a rule, I think, that allowed them to impeach, what's his name with the funny hair? That
Rod
dude.
Blagojevich.
That dude, yeah. They got him out of there. But they had to pass a special law or rule to do that, right? So you can't do that in Chicago. So he's not going to get impeached unless you can get, like you said, Moses.
And I don't think there's a recall provision as well. One of the things I definitely wanted to mention is sort of what Craig alluded to with this whole thing of what we hear on the news week after week with young men being killed, and we become so immune to it. But what people probably don't realize, and you've seen it on TV, Pat Camden, who's the spokesperson, who you see as the spokesperson, always the one that get on TV saying it was a young black male with a knife who lunged, or with a gun who did this. Many of us and many people think he's the police spokesperson for the Chicago Police Department, but he's actually the spokesperson for the Fraternal Order of Police. And his job is to always skew things to the side that allows the police to look favorable. And for so many years, not only from a citywide standpoint, but even from a media standpoint, the news people have gone to him. And so this in itself is not transparent, because you're getting the side of the union who is designed to protect the people that are in their union. So I definitely needed to put that out there, Craig.
Craig, what do you think about that, man?
Yeah, well, let me start with, so he's right about who Pan Camden is, and it's also, though, noteworthy he was the official voice for the police department for many, many years before that, when he was employed by the city and as the spokesperson for the police department. But this is what I was talking about at the very beginning, about the affirmative duty of honesty and of transparency. So if you have folks putting out lies right from the beginning, and the lie was, and the lie that made my eyes glaze over, just like a lot of folks, unfortunately, eyes glaze over, was kid with a knife coming at him, shot him in self-defense, and actually was left like just shot him once in the chest in self-defense. And shoot, there's a boy's riddled body with 16 bullets in it that tells otherwise, and nobody questions that. So not only the media, though, but this goes to the city and to the police department's affirmative responsibility. If we want trust, we got to start telling people the truth.
Right.
And telling people the truth right from Jump Street. Don't let then that voice, the voice of the police union, be the only voice. And that's the only voice then that folks were going to hear for 400 more days if people like Brandon, if people like William, if people like Jamie, and if people like the folks who have the courage inside to come to me about this stuff, when to start shooting off our mouths and when to start writing and making noise.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, if we want trust, and we want to talk about it, and it's critical to talk about trust, because let me just mention one statistic from one of the things. The areas of the city where there's the most abuse complaints, the most police misconduct complaints, are the very same areas of the city where we have the lowest clearance rates for murders and violent crime. Where there's the least trust, police are the least successful in solving crime, in keeping people safe, in working with folks, and it makes a lot of sense. So if we want trust, and we ought to want some trust, folks got to earn it. And the department has to earn it. And the first step toward any kind of trust, before we even get on to the more complex things, is simply being honest with people. I'm not going to trust anyone unless you're honest.
Yeah, there you go.
Greg, thank you for that. And that ties into your question when we talked about impeachment. But if since there isn't, what has to happen, this administration has to come clean. What did you know and when? Was this a cover-up for re-election, just as the Barbara Byrd Bennett situation? There's a pattern here. This is not just about a young man being murdered. This is about a pattern of possible corruption. And just like people take money in politics and hide money or steal money to win the election, or misuse money to win the election, when you manipulate information and hide information to possibly win the election, then that's a crime in itself, or it should be if it isn't. And so that's why an independent federal investigation has to be done to say, what did this administration know and when? And so that gets to the trust part. I shouldn't even have to call for a federal investigation. That should just come, and that's when you begin to trust.
So what are you guys going to do then? What's the collectively city council going to do?
Well, we haven't talked yet. So when I get back, I will be talking to both the Black Caucus and the Progressive Caucus and see who will stand with me to push for an independent federal investigation.
Sorry, man. I know what they do. I know what they do. Boobka. Nothing.
One thing, if I could jump in just one quick on the mayor and everything else, because I think it's, and I mean, the questions are all great questions and right questions. But at the same point, this has existed long before him, and unless we do something, it's going to exist long after him. It's not just simply one person. Whenever an incident like this happens, we have circling the wagons, secrecy, and denial, and whitewash then investigation. it's not just a manual. And yes, he and certainly is right to ask, and I'm sure, I don't know, but one, I know that he knows, that he knew about this. I mean, the top folks in the city knew about this video almost from day one. Among the things that NBC got through a Freedom of Information Act request, when we first put out the call and wrote an article, said, release the video, 4 o'clock that morning, 3 o'clock that morning, there were emails between chief alert for the police department to the chief alert for the corporation for the entire city of Chicago, talking about what we're going to do. The narrative is being challenged.
Craig, you're absolutely.
Story doesn't look like it's going to hold up. So, but it's deeper than a manual. That's all I'm just trying to say. And it's deeper than one superintendent.
So I'm curious, and I got it on my Facebook page now. When we talk about the whole judicial system, from the state's attorney to they work and corroborate with the police, even till one point I have an associate or someone that put out there, and it's in there that why would you as a state's attorney question 2 police officers separately? You don't, they get beat up for that. That's an institutionalized thing with this, from the state's attorneys to the police to even some judges. And so this is huge.
So don't get me saying that I'm also letting the mayor off the hook. But what I want to say is that they inherited this mess, and this mess existed before. But then once you inherit it, it's your responsibility to address it. And
absolutely.
If you don't, and what this case shows is an absolute failure of responsibility to do so, because you had the opportunity. We also respectfully even made public call, be honest with people. So I hadn't seen the video at that point, and said, be honest. Just simply be honest, let folks know. And what we've seen is what's unfolding now is an utter and complete cover-up. But that's the code of silence in action, and that's been something that's been there as long as the police department's been here. One other example, just going back almost 10 years, everyone saw this video when that white lady beat up bartender, beat up, millions of people saw it, beat up in a bar by the police officer Abate. Again, sued. So jury found, went to court, jury found, and went to jury trial, and jury found that not just obviously this jerk who did this was a brute and violated her rights. I mean, anybody could have seen that, but they also found that the city was liable, and the city is liable because there's a code of silence that protects officers like him, that lets him know that he could do this and know that nothing was going to happen to him.
Right.
But you know what happened right after that? What happened right after that was then, just like here, back to the hush money, paid off the lawyers, paid off the woman, and brought a motion to the judge, the federal judge, and said, let's erase this verdict. Like this never happened, that there is no code of silence. Let's have the code of silence about the code of silence. We intervened there, kept that from happening. But my point is, unless we start, so Emmanuel didn't start this mess. He inherited it, but then after inheriting it,
you have to be trustworthy, be honest.
To be honest and to say, hey, not deny the code of silence. We got it. We have a real problem here, and now we got to address that. That's what real leaders do.
So
let me.
Can I ask one question,
Sure.
if I may, please? Craig, I'm curious, with the sources that have, trusted you with information and with your experience working with the brutality cases, and in light of what you just said around trust and code of silence, what are the questions that aren't being asked at this point that need to be asked, understanding that kind of institutional history that you all have just discussed?
Well, I mean, I think it's a few of the points that made a little bit earlier. I like to think about concrete things that we can do, and these go to the questions. So the questions, some of those we've already asked about the show, not just what about this Officer Van Dyke who executed this young boy, but what about this code of silence? What are we going to do? What is it? How does it work? What needs to be done to address it? There are obvious and simple fixes. It begins with leadership, number one. Number two, patterns of abuse. What the reality shows and what every bit of data shows is that the good news is we are not overrun with abusive police officers in Chicago. We have a small percent responsible for nearly half of all abuse complaints in the entire city. But that small percent has been allowed to do so with absolute impunity, and it's also not just in terms of patterns of absolute impunity, but it's who they're abusing, and we all know the who and where as well. And so, absolute question number two would be let's just do the obvious. Let's start be sure we don't erase or destroy this knowledge. We got to keep it. It belongs to the public. And number two, we need to use this knowledge to actually address these folks that have been costing taxpayers almost $500 million or more than $500 million over the last 10 years and costing individuals and families their lives.
Good points. Let me get Steve here from the Gold Coast, see what he's got to say today. Steve, what's up, man?
Yes, you raised a number of very important issues. I originally had called in to address this question of the boycott of Black Friday on Michigan Avenue. And to some extent, I would contend that it is somewhat of a mixed bag. On the one hand, I certainly think it brought attention to a very important issue. On the other hand, I think it risks alienating people who might have been on the fence, people who were very sympathetic to the cause. But then, by the same token, what do you accomplish by denying that person who's sympathetic to your cause access to Nike Town so they can buy their child a gift? There's a point at which I think you cross a line and the protest becomes something that's counterproductive. I think that marching down that street, letting people know, doing it in a peaceful manner, but then denying people access to stores or pulling lights off Christmas and decorations and trees and that sort of thing. I mean, I think that becomes problematic and counterproductive. Having said that, I think that we should certainly push for federal intervention. Chicago would not be the first city whereby the feds, i.e. the Justice Department in this case, would have to oversee policing in Chicago. This has happened in other cities whereby there's been established a systemic problem of policing, and therefore moving forward, any major decisions in terms of how the police conduct themselves in a given city aren't made in that city. They have to be run through the Justice Department.
Yeah, but Steve, the reality is when they do that, they just behave until they go away.
Well, in some cases, and you've seen actually some changes depending upon which city you're talking about. And, the question is, would they go back to business as usual? Many of these cities, they are under the auspices of the Justice Department's oversight for years. So I certainly don't contend that it is a panacea, but it is something certainly that we should opt for with regard to what our political agenda is. And the question does become who is responsible, where does the buck stop? I don't think for a moment that Rahm Emanuel, I think I don't agree with his politics on a great many issues, but I think he's far too smart a man to have ever allowed himself to see this tape, because not having seen it allows you to have deniability. The farther up the chain you go, the less likely you are to want to have seen this. If somebody offers to show it to you, you simply say, no, I don't want to go anywhere near it. And therefore you have plausible deniability, so that the buck stops somewhere. It perhaps can go up to McCarthy, it could perhaps to go to Anita Alvarez.
Well, Steve, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
And that's
Steve,
not leadership.
Do you think Ron Emanuel would sign off on giving this mother and sister $5 million without seeing the tape?
Oh, absolutely, because that, again, allows him plausible deniability, because he could argue that I don't run this city on my own. I have underlings, I have people who I work with, I have people who consult me and advise me on these matters, and I defer to their judgment. Ron Emanuel doesn't run the police department. That's why he asked someone like McCarthy. And if someone's going to fall on their sword, it's not going to be Ron Emanuel who's going to be resigning. It's going to be McCarthy before Ron Emanuel resigns.
And I saw that coming. And so my position as the alderman is, if you knew there's a problem. So if you're going to have deniability, like you did with Barbara Byrd Bennett, like you did with your controller, like you did with the police, then there's a pattern to me of incompetency, either on your part as a leader, which I have no confidence in at this point, because you have no control over your administration, or if you knew, then there was a cover up. Either way it go, there has to be some accountability.
Well, yes, and that's something that people can raise in the next election. I'm not entirely sure. I don't go along necessarily with this argument that had this come out, that it was going to be some sort of defining issue with regard to the past election.
I think it would have both the Barbara Byrd Bennett situation and this situation. Yes,
I don't believe either for a moment. I don't think that the voters would have said, well, if Chuy Garcia were mayor, we would have had a completely different outcome, because the police certainly wouldn't behave in this way if Chuy were mayor.
I'm going to insert somebody in the conversation, Steve. I got to get a break, Steve. I appreciate you, man. Okay. I'm going to insert Kurt Summers into the conversation because I think Kurt should be the next mayor. Sorry, I said it. Kurt Summers for mayor.
I think we have some great options out there, including Kurt.
Save that, man. Save that. All right, we're taking our last break here. Debo, I see you there. Richard and Elgin, you're next. You got a minute. You know how it works in the last break. Stay tuned for more of the Family Meeting. This is Jason Brown, General Counsel of Dyson and Howard University alum. Keep listening to the Family Meeting.
Imagine a job where someone cares about you, your family, and your coworkers, and will sign a contract to that effect. That is what a union actually does for you. We've all heard the bashing, the insults, and hatred directed toward unions by powerful political elites and wealthy business bosses. For more information about your job interests, call SEIU Local 73 and ask for Tim Ball, 312-787-5868. Again, that number is 312-787-5868.
The Law Office of Darnell Lyles is ready to help you. Whether it's personal injury, criminal, DUI, and OWI, nursing home, product liability, it doesn't matter. Call 219-939-9-LAW. That's 219-939-9529. That's right. When you're driving and get into a wreck. You better call Darnell. Had a few drinks too many? A cop hits you with a DUI or OWI? You better call Darnell. Arrested and facing criminal charges, misdemeanor or felony? I think you better call Darnell. Purchase a product that causes you or a loved one harm? I think you better call Darnell. When your loved one is neglected and abused in a nursing home? I think you better call Darnell. That's right. You better call Attorney Darnell Lyles and get represented right. And the first consultation is free. Yes, free. So call right now. 219-939-9LAW. That's 219-939-9529. Attorney Darnell Lyles. Darnell Lyles.
Itsashort.com. The website is itsashort.com, spelled ITSASHORT.com. We have wonderful success stories. A lot of our artists are sort of award-winning short film makers, and they go on to become feature-length filmmakers or, actors in TV series, or some of the major blockbuster films that are out now. So there's a lot of our artists that you will see in Academy Award-winning feature-length films. And we also have like Marshall Curry is an Academy Award-winning documentarian. So we have that caliber of artist on our platform. Our subscription, we are a subscription-based service, but your first month is free. And if you happen to be an artist, there is no subscription fee for you. Our subscription is $2 a month or $20 for the year, which entitles you to be able to see all of these amazing short film, video, and web series. There is always a discount for Family Meeting. Just simply when you register, use the promo code FAMILY, and you will be granted a free 1-year subscription.
The name of my business is Mrs. Indecent Exposure. Stop in and check out our Forbidden Fruit bath bombs. We have Orgasmic Fantasy. And for the men, we have Extremely Sexy bath bombs. We also feature a Little Mrs. and a Little Masters line, a tween line, if you will. We're located at 6916 West North Avenue in Chicago, 773-417-3223. Mrs. Indecent Exposure, MRSNDEXPO.com.
This is Rodney Harrington. Welcome back to the Family Meeting.
Yeah, so this is our last segment here. And, okay, so y'all get ready for this.
I have to chime in before we left. You gave an endorsement to my friend and brother, Kurt Summers, and I'm just so excited not only about that, but I'm always excited when we have options of the bullpen, and you can throw a Commissioner Larry Rogers Jr. in there. And what I'm excited about that, Both of these young men are members of the greatest church this side of heaven, Fellowship Missionary Baptist Church, where I attend, where the founder is the Reverend Clay Evans and the pastor is Charles Jenkins, and to have great leaders just all up in that church.
Dave,
so
you over the top, man.
I'm
over the top, man.
I'm excited for both Kurt Summers and Larry Rogers Jr. and we
that
can
was
have a
really over the top, man. You just way over the top, man. Okay, so watch this. Let me get Debo. We've got an alien calling us now. Let me get Debo in here. Debo, what's up, man?
Yes, hello, thank you. I am Debo. Thank you for taking my call. I must say, my job to earn a wage is to do the calculations on this planet to land your satellites, perhaps the rover on Mars. I'm the guy behind the screen doing the calculations. Now, here's the thing I love about my job. Is mathematics is the only language on this planet that will not lie to you. And as a result, I am in love with my job. Now, saying that, everything I do is based on logic. Sometimes I sit in a restaurant, and if I'm angry with the waiter, I sit and I think, what is the calculation for me to take a sandwich of this weight, throw it that distance at a particular speed, and hit him with enough inertia? What is the equation? It's weird, I know. But now I look at this shooting of the young ancient, the first race of this planet, emigrating from Africa, and I see it. And as you backtrack, you go all the way from the beginning. From the night of the shooting, there's been 6 attempts by the Chicago Police Department to get a change of judges. It didn't happen, but there were 6 attempts. That'll come out with the lawsuits. We already know this. But you'll hear it soon, I'm sure, when the filing starts in the civil cases and the criminal cases. And then you look at the fact that it took this long for that police department to actually try to get out in front of what was then going to be made public by that judge. And it was a tremendous fear, in retrospect, knowing that they were very guilty of not only racism, but cover-up corruption. And it goes extremely high. We're not exactly sure where it ends, but it's above the Anita Alvarez woman. These things will be shown, just like I say, with logic, tangible facts. The evidence is already bleeding out, and the finger in the dike that the police department is trying to plug is going to just overwhelm them as a dam would cave in. It's going to happen soon, and I just feel terrible for the African-American man who may have just been having a bad night. Now, I know you laugh, but we eat a particular insect to get high. And when we do, we get very high. And sometimes you have to be restrained if you're a little over your limit. And it does not mean that we shoot our people. But this is what goes on. And I'm almost in tears over this, because this is such a blatant exposure. This is an indictment before you even had a court date. And it's going to be interesting to watch. But my point of this phone call is, if the African-American people can show tremendous restraint in all of their demonstrations, no matter what city it is, because this will go far from Chicago. This is going to go to Augusta, Maine, and all the way down to the Baja. And you will make a statement every bit as powerful as the Martin Luther King Reverend man did, by being peaceful. And that, by being peaceful, that will indict every corrupt, racist police officer in this nation. And I would say to you, in the Christian New Testament, the Savior of this world said, if you are good to only those who are good to you, what is your reward? But if you are good and peaceful to those who would want to destroy you, then you have the greatest reward in heaven.
Debo, I appreciate that, man.
I gotta go, man.
I appreciate it, man. Debo been eating them bugs again.
Yeah, and he was totally on point with, first of all, I'm glad he brought up about the judge, and I can't remember the judge's name that made the ruling. That was courageous on that judge part. When I talk about this article,
Which ruling?
To release that video.
Release the video. Okay, yeah.
Because when we talk about this corruption being that,
You said it was courageous?
it was very courageous.
You think so?
I know it was because
I agree. It was.
it was.
Well, what's courageous about really doing what you're supposed to
Because
do?
of the corruption, the institutional corruption that they deal with.
What was he? What harm was he afraid of?
Craig, help me here because I can't articulate it right.
And I'll name him because he deserves to be named. Judge Valderrama, because it takes a lot of courage to follow the law, and it takes a lot of courage to do the right
Wait a minute.
thing.
What kind of society we living in where it's courageous
That's the
to follow the law? What the hell does that mean?
When there's a corrupt,
When it's courageous to do the right thing. So what I've seen, and this is true with Cook County judges as well, is that you get there, and all too many folks get there by patronage, and get there by, and people, as well as there were lots of, before the judge ruled, don't think that there weren't people sending messages to the judge, including what was being said in the headlines on the news from the highest powers in the city. You better not release this tape. We really don't want this. And that's a message that says, Judge, you want to stay a judge? If you want to go to the appellate court, don't forget who put you there, and don't forget who can take you away. I have seen judges, and it happened real recently to an appellate judge, Rudy Garcia, who refused to do the patronage after being there. He got demoted. They put someone else there. So it takes courage to fight power at all levels, even for judges. So
I think I'm caught on the word, though. I think I'm caught up on the word courage. I don't know that I would characterize it as courage.
It is.
Courage, I just see it in a different light. I see people standing in front of bullets in favor of saving lives.
You not being able to feed your children, you not being able to live.
Let him find a job. I mean, courageous though. Really courageous.
It is courageous. It is.
I don't know if I'd use that word, but
I understand.
Is it just me? Courageous? I don't know about courageous.
Well, I think if you look at it in the vernacular of being courage as far as your peers not wanting to do what you were able to do.
How about bold? Let's go with bold.
No, courageous.
Well, let's say
I don't think there's any courage in that, though.
Courageously bold. How about that?
Well, I think courage is right. It takes courage to do the right thing and to promote transparency, and it takes real courage to stand up and do the right thing in political context like this. And I think all too many, and that's the reality.
Okay, maybe political courage. Maybe political courage.
Judges wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Would not have done it.
Well, that's because they're punks.
And that's the reality.
They're punks. That's why.
And so to continue on what Debo was saying, with this is peaceful. And that's why I'm so excited. Let's not forget what our young people are doing. And our young people are standing up. And so when they are peaceful, I know the tree situation happened. So one of your last callers talked about that. We don't want those things to happen, but blocking the stores and not having people spend money because money talks. The same way what happened at Missouri with those football players, nothing would have changed. They were like, wait, you touching our pockets now. So it matters. And that's why that had to take place.
It wasn't about the people who wanted to shop. It was about the places they were shopping in.
Absolutely.
Right. They weren't the target. They were an unfortunate collateral damage to the issue. But that aside, I ain't buying courage yet. I don't think that's courageous. I ain't buying that. Bold, maybe politically courageous.
I want to follow up on what David said though too, not just about this courage, but about the young people, because that's what it really takes. I am so proud, not just of the Black Friday protests, and there were some older folks too, but it's young people who've been doing this around the nation. That's Black Lives Matter movement. We wouldn't be having this conversation, and people around the nation wouldn't be having this conversation if not for that kind of activism, if not for young people taking the lead and stepping out. And we have the right to be angry. Shoot, we ought to be angry when an officer of the state takes the life of one of our children. We have the right to demand change, the right to demand accountability. And what I fear is what happened to me, too, when I read that article in the first place, that we do not care enough about the lives of Black people to demand that change, to stop this mess, to end that code of silence, end the denial, investigate patterns of abuse, and to address real issues of race. I mean, it's we'll go back to Tommy. He's talking about racism. Still there.
Yeah, still exists. Okay, so cool down time. All right. So Dave, let's do contact information now. First off, Craig, where can they find you and what are you up to next? Give it to me in a minute.
Shoot. You can find me. I teach at the University of Chicago Law School. I direct a civil rights and police accountability project there. You can email me at Futterman, my last name, at uchicago.edu.
Futterman is Futterman.
At uchicago.edu. And I say the next thing right now is what needs to concretely be done. And the first thing that I'd say is, because this is urgent right now, folks, it really is urgent. They are trying to destroy all records of police misconduct that are more than 5 years old. First thing that needs to be done, and I'm going to work on it, is do everything in my power to stop that.
Okay, we're going to get Craig in studio one of these Sundays, right, man?
You got it, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
And Craig, definitely let me know what I need to do from a city council standpoint to make sure that doesn't happen.
I'll get you Dave's information too, by the way. Okay.
All right.
All right, cool. Stu?
Well, I'm hoping that we don't have any more of these young people shot on the street like that, if nothing else, as a result of this young man losing his life. But I'm fearful that he won't be the last.
I'm the same way. Alicia, you got a blog or something coming up?
Yeah, I'm working on a podcast, Light of Mind. Allegedly, it may change. Alicia Stewart, ALICIA_Stewart, STEWART at harvard.edu.
You still got that Harvard email address? Huh?
Sure do.
You'll carry that around for a while, ain't you? Like a moniker.
A little bit.
That's my little cousin. How old are you? I should ask you how old you are.
Not so little.
Yeah, you grown people now.
I'm grown folk.
Yes, right. Okay, so that's really all the time we have. I do want to thank you guys for yours. That's Wayman Stewart. That's Alderman David Moore. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate your time, man. We got you back too, bro.
Thank you.
All right, Alicia Stewart. Craig Futterman at University of Chicago. You coming in one Sunday, man, soon?
Man, you guilted me into it.
I'm saying, out in front of everybody.
It's out there now.
I know. So that's a yes, right?
No, he said it's out there. He didn't
stay out of
agree.
it, please.
I'm a journalist. I listen closely.
Neither confirm nor deny.
Craig, I look forward to meeting you real soon.
Yeah.
Likewise, Alderman. Thank you. It is a pleasure to meet you all and talk with you all today, too.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
Tune into the family meeting every Sunday at 4. I'm your host, Eric Grant. Peace, y'all.